So thanks for coming tonight. I'm Dr. Quincy, as you may know. This program is about this composer named Charles Czerny. Now, every pianist knows some exercises of Carl Czerny, and most pianists play some of these exercises, but that's all we know about Czerny, is that he wrote some exercises for some piano players. Czerny was born in 1791 in Austria, and he lived until 1857. He was Beethoven's most favorite piano student, and he was the piano teacher of Franz Liszt, who was considered maybe the greatest pianist in all of Europe during his lifetime. So there's this guy, last name Czerny, right in the middle of these two great composers. And today, we don't know a whole lot about him. So I started doing some research, and Czerny wrote piano music, some operas, some songs, some violin things. He wrote constantly. So there's this story, or it's not a story, this is what he did in his studio. So he had a writing desk over here. Oops, sorry. He had a writing desk over here, and he had to write the lines in for the 5 lines for the right hand, 5 lines for the left hand. He would write all kind of notes, make all kind of music, and then this is like 1830, so there were not pens like we have today. So he would have to dip the quill into the ink. And so he would write, and then he would go to another desk, and he would write music. He would go to the third desk and write music. He would go to the fourth desk and write music. And then by the time he got back to the first desk, the ink had dried, and he could keep working on this first piece that he was working on. So he was working on 4 different pieces of music at the same time. It is crazy. So, so when you write a piece of music or you write a collection, we call it an opus number. Opus means a work. Now some composers, opus 1 is just one piece of work. Opus 2 is just one piece of work. But what I'm playing tonight is Opus 849. That means he wrote 848 opus numbers up until this one. And Opus 849 has 30 pieces in it. So tonight I am going to play all 30 pieces. It is crazy. Now, I am not going to take the repeats. So you are going to have to listen correctly the first time, and I'm going to have to try to play the notes correctly the first time, because I'm not going to take any repeats, so there ain't going to be no do-overs. So Opus 849 is 30 etudes in a mechanical style. He lists it as a mechanism, but what I love about Czerny's etudes and exercises are he works on a different technique. He wants you to work on this, he wants you to work on that, but he puts music into it. So these are just fun little pieces to play and listen to. Now, in Czerny's lifetime, all the other composers, they didn't like his compositions. Chopin thought he was like the worst. Schubert, Schumann, they gave him no respect for his compositions. Even Beethoven and his piano student Liszt thought, Oh yeah, he's a great piano teacher, but his compositions, yeah, they're not that good. I can kind of, and maybe that's why his work is not so popular today, because they were so jealous of all the music that he was writing, I think. Because, even in 1830, there were haters, So I started doing some research, started playing some of his stuff, and I just love his music. What I love about his music is he uses all 88 keys. Oh my gosh, he is up, he is down, he is everywhere. And in this Opus 849, he forces you to work on just one kind of technique. So I gave you a blue piece of paper, I gave you a pencil, you have some music. If, as I play, if there's a technique that you think that he might want me or you to work on, you might just make a note of that. If there's a piece that you just don't like, you can just say, I don't like this piece. If there's an etude that you just fall in love with, and later in piano lessons you want to start working on it, you do not have to play all 30 of these. This is just my stuff. But you can pick and choose whatever you want, all right? And so I'm just going to start playing, and I'll just turn the page. I'll continue playing. I'm not going to take any repeats, and I'll just give us a moment, in between the movements. And if you start zoning out, that's perfectly fine. If you, just listen. It's fun, really fun kind of music. So I think one of the complaints is that they said his melodies were too short and they weren't really developed. So I think it's kind of like going into a Godiva chocolate shop, where you have a little piece of chocolate here, or you have a little sample here, you have a little sample there. His melodies are like little pieces of chocolate, as opposed to like going to the Chinese buffet or going to Golden Corral, where you have the whole buffet, like Beethoven would have written his music, or Liszt or Chopin. So it's just little tiny kind of melodies. So this is Opus 849. if you're following along. interesting is that Beethoven thought so much of Czerny that he asked Czerny to teach his nephew the piano. So they started piano lessons. The nephew wasn't so interested. The nephew maybe he wanted to play football. I don't know. There was no football in 1820, but he just could not learn the piano. So Beethoven asked Czerny, "So how's my nephew doing?" And Czerny said, "I can't teach him piano." And so Beethoven got mad and kind of like broke their friendship off because Czerny couldn't teach his nephew how to play piano, while he could teach so many other people how to play piano. So